Hello and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily, your go-to podcast for everything soilless cultivation. I'm your host, Dr. Russell Sharp. I am the owner of Utrema, the company that invented gold leaf, as it's known in the US, or liquid gold in the UK. And I'm always coming up with harebrained ideas for new products in various different sectors of growing. And I mentioned on a previous episode that we just launched a CalMag, and I thought I'd do an episode just on CalMags because they're the most commonly used supplement in hydroponics. So I could talk about why they're used, what they are, and why I've bothered to create a CalMag when there are loads already on the market. So today we're diving into a misunderstood but frequently recommended product, the CalMag. Lots of memes about CalMag in the hydroponics community, industrial weapons grade CalMag solves all issues and things like this. So you'll often hear you need a CalMag supplement. I'd say about a third of all the growers of legal cannabis on Reddit say, what's wrong with my plant? And normally it's calcium or magnesium deficiency. And they've often got yellowing or blackening of the center of the leaf. That's a sure calcium deficiency. Often it's calcium deficiency where there's like blackened tissue and so blossom end rot in tomatoes, the blackening of the tissue on legal cannabis, heart rot in celery and lettuce, and all sorts of different things where new growth is where it affects, and cell damage because calcium is needed to make calcium pectate, which is the stuff that sticks cell walls together and makes them strong. So why a CalMag and not a calcium on its own? Well, they need to be absorbed. The plant can't differentiate between the two ions, and so they're absorbed in the ratio they are around in the fertigation solution. So if you just provide calcium, like if you just put normal lime on your garden that you get from the builder's merchant, the hardware store, then you would get magnesium deficiency straight away. That's why you put on dolomitic limestone, because dolomitic limestone doesn't mean it's from the Dolomites in Italy, although it might be. It's pinky white material that comes from anywhere where the limestone is high in magnesium. So still calcium dominated by far. But that's what dolomitic lime is. And then CalMag, very similar ratio, but in a soluble form because the lime isn't soluble. They're two primary nutrients, calcium and magnesium, but we don't think of CalMag as being a base nutrient because it's already in either the A or the B fertilizer or in liquid gold or gold leaf. It's in it already. But some people like to apply extra because in certain situations you can have deficiency. One of those situations is soft water, where you've got very, very clean water. You're in the enviable position of having soft water. Or if you're using reverse osmosis water, you will remove all the calcium and magnesium. Or if you're growing a crop where they need lots of calcium and magnesium, extra calcium and magnesium, then you can add that there. Or if you're applying a fertilizer very high in potassium, you will get calcium deficiencies, magnesium deficiencies. Or, heaven forbid, a fertilizer that contains sodium, and there are some out there. And the problem with hydroponics is that a lot of the additives contain potassium. There's PK boosts, there's all sorts of potassium products out there, explosive products that contain calcium, explosive as in the explode yield. What else contains potassium? Basically everything, every additive. There's one company that's talk about always being innovative, and my God, do they just release potassium phosphate based products? Or their range of about 50 products, and about 30 to 40 of them are just different varieties of potassium phosphate. It's ridiculous. They have PK boosts for early flowering, mid flowering, late flowering, and then flowering PKs plus sugars and all this nonsense. So if all that potassium's going in, then you're going to get calcium deficiencies. And so you have to add a CalMag. Now, many CalMag products there are based on calcium nitrate, magnesium nitrate, which is a good source for plant uptake. However, the nitrate can defeat the object because you want to get nice strong cell walls, and nitrates produce leggy vegetative growth, as we talked about on the previous episode about forms of nitrogen. So you want to choose a CalMag with low nitrogen. There are ones out there. The likes of Emerald Harvest produce a good product that's low in nitrogen, but still has some nitrogen. And then there are products out there that contain chloride, like Athena's product. And as I've talked about previously, chlorides are not a good form of calcium, magnesium, or potassium. They are very cheap and they are very soluble. But chlorides in anything other than background trace amounts can have issues and toxicity issues. So avoid anything containing chlorides. They're cheap and nasty, in my opinion. We've talked about, like some Miracle Grow and Phostrogen, they contain chlorides because they're cheap and they're going for the mass market. And CalMags can often contain iron and boron, but I tend to avoid that because they're already in our other products like Gold Leaf or Liquid Gold, as it's called in the UK. So we said it's essential for cell wall, root tips, anywhere where there's active growing, really important for transpiration and water loss and movement of other nutrients. And magnesium is the central atom in chlorophyll. So without magnesium, your plants are not green. So I said any light green with darkened tissues, CalMag's important. And you'll get interveinal chlorosis and poor fruit and flower development. Most of the crops in hydroponics, you want that, unless you're growing leafy veg. So a cocoa combined calcium as well. So if you're using a cheap cocoa that contains a lot of sodium, then you might need to add extra CalMag for that reason. So if you've bought a cheap block form of cocoa, then that might be one of the reasons you're getting calcium deficiency. Didn't talk about that. That's very important. Always use a good source of cocoa. Dosing, normally most formulations, it's 0.5 ml per litre if you're looking to prevent deficiencies, and 1 ml per litre if you're looking to actively correct an issue you've got when you're growing. Always easier to prevent than it is to correct, as it is with human diseases and problems. So there. And you can overdo a CalMag. It's hard, but you can. You could lock out potassium and magnesium, but as I say, there's normally lots of potassium in there. Really, it's going to be about increasing the EC value. It will get too high. And so that's that. I would say always use a dedicated CalMag. You can formulate your own from like calcium nitrate and Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate, and that will give you a fairly low dose. And, people say on the time, I put adverts on hydroponic things, and people say, oh, yeah, you can make your own from this, this, and this. And I was saying to my colleague Matthew today, I really want to go on their profile and see what they're selling and all their produce and go, oh, well, you could just grow your own rather than buying from you. Of course you could. You could make your own CalMag. You could make your own base fertilizer. But could you do it to quality? And could you do it consistently and know exactly what you're doing correctly? And no, you're not going to produce a product anywhere near as good as Liquid Gold or Gold Leaf, as is known in the US. But, you could make an A and B. I know it's not beyond your abilities, but you'd have to have all those hazardous chemicals stored as single environments. So you could make a CalMag, but yeah. If you're the sort of person who comments on companies' Instagram posts or Facebook posts saying, oh, you can do this by just using this homemade remedy, just remember your post will survive about 10 seconds before it gets hidden. You'll think it's not hidden, but the owners of that company will just hide it. And you'll think you're being a keyboard warrior, but you're not. Anyway. CalMag. So what did we do that was different with our CalMag? So as I say, we didn't want to release one until we had something that was a lot better, and we wanted one that could be used in different uses, so sports turf, lawns, commercial horticulture, obviously nitrogen free. We wanted to prevent weak vegetative growth, and we just wanted to eliminate all nitrogen, so we could make that claim. We added organic acids to chelate the calcium, so preventing lockout. So as soon as the calcium hits the soil or the growing media, it doesn't just lock out with phosphorus. So we included organic acids for that. Obviously chloride free, no cheap and nasty products. I don't think I use chloride in any of my ingredients. We have one product that contains chloride and it doesn't go anywhere near a plant. It's pH buffered, and this is the real thing that really excited me when we were in development. It's built with the same intelligent buffering system that we use in Liquid Gold, or Gold Leaf as it's called in the US. And so by adding the CalMag, you're further, not only does it get to the sweet spot of 5.5 to 6.5, just like Liquid Gold, it holds it there. So by adding the CalMag, you further strengthen that ability for your fertigation solution to stay at 5.5 to 6.5. And it's UK invented and UK manufactured, but for some people it is a benefit. If you massively hate the UK, then obviously that's not a massive benefit. So that's been CalMag. Utrema's CalMag. If you're in the UK, you can buy that. If you're outside the UK, I'm more than happy to discuss you distributing it and getting it in to your systems. So yeah, use a CalMag. If you're worried about any of those issues, it's not a magic cure-all, but it's pretty damn close, especially if you've got RO water or really cheap and nasty cocoa. Prevention is better than cure, and choose a good quality one. I'm Dr. Russell Sharp, and this has been Hydroponics Daily. If you've got a question about nutrient balancing or you want help choosing any additive, then let me know. I'll give you my opinion. It might not be independent, but it will be informed. Until next time, I'm going to be talking about microalgae next time because I thought that'd be a good subject, an interesting subject, and bioreactors. Not quite hydroponics, but you might consider it hydroponics. It's growing micro plants, microscopic plants. Should be a good episode. Until tomorrow, that's been Hydroponics Daily. Thank you very much for listening.